Listen up, defenders. If your organization relies on Apache Atlas for data governance, well, your infrastructure might literally be bleeding sensitive data right now. Welcome to another Code Ninja Security Advisory. Today we're tracking a highly critical active threat. We are looking directly at CVE 2026-405063. It's a high-severity code injection vulnerability sitting right inside the domain-specific language, or DSL endpoint. Bottom line, this flaw lets attackers completely bypass your access controls. So, yeah, it's time to pay attention.
Our main objective with this explainer today is simple. We want to provide immediate mitigation strategies and, honestly, force some comprehensive vendor patching across the community. Guys, this is not a drill. We're talking about a newly escalated threat carrying a massive high-severity CVSS base score of 8.1. We practice coordinated vulnerability disclosure here for a reason, to make absolutely sure you have the actionable intelligence you need before threat actors weaponize this flaw against your environments.
To really grasp the urgency here, we got to look at this crazy 72-hour escalation timeline. It played out like a classic zero-day scenario. On May 4th, 2026, the CVE was officially received from the Apache Software Foundation, starting off at a baseline score of 7.1. Okay, pretty standard. By May 5th, the National Vulnerability Database did their initial analysis, mapping out the affected configs. But then, the critical pivot happened on May 6th. Threat intel matured, and CISA ADP stepped in and significantly bumped that CVE record up from a 7.1 to an 8.1. Why the jump? Because the integrity impact of this exploit skyrocketed from low to high. The community's understanding of this threat evolved fast, and honestly, our response needs to be just as quick.
Okay, we're about to dive deep into the actual exploit mechanics. But first, let's do a quick communication link setup. In this line of work, real-time intelligence isn't just nice to have, it's a sheer necessity. So, I need you to subscribe to @cybertech79 right now and hit those notifications so you don't miss our next critical advisory. Also, as a formal acknowledgement of receipt for this intel, drop a like on this explainer. Just think of it as your ACK packet sending right back to base.
Continuing with that comms check, I really need to take a quick census of the community here. So, are you patched or are you vulnerable? Sound off in the comments right now with your current status, let us know what versions you're running, and if you've actually been able to deploy the fix yet. This direct feedback is absolutely vital. It genuinely helps us as researchers accurately gauge the potential blast radius of this vulnerability across live enterprise networks.
All right, let's initiate the deep dive into the attack protocol. At its absolute core, CVE 2026-40563 is classified as a CWE 94 weakness. For those tracking, that's improper control of generation of code. Or to put it simply, it's a classic code injection flaw. And this weakness lives natively right inside the Apache Atlas DSL search endpoint. Now, because that surface is specifically designed to accept user-supplied query strings, it becomes highly exposed if input validation drops the ball.
So how does the exploit actually work? Well, it happens because Apache Atlas just fails to properly neutralize special elements coming from upstream input. An attacker can literally leverage user-supplied query strings by sneaking in grammar-allowed characters. And by doing that, they actively alter and subvert the underlying Gremlin traversal logic. It's kind of like hijacking the graph traversal language itself. The malicious actor bypasses all the syntax rules, and boom, they've got unauthorized access to unintended data buried deep inside your governance platform.
Now, the objective threat telemetry surrounding this specific attack vector, it's exactly the kind of stuff that keeps defenders awake at night. Look at this. The exploit is 100% network accessible, meaning it can be launched remotely without any local footprint whatsoever. On top of that, it boasts low attack complexity, requires low privileges to execute, and honestly, the most dangerous part, it requires zero user interaction. An attacker doesn't need to trick one of your admins into clicking a sketchy phishing link. They literally just need network line of sight to your Atlas DSL endpoint. That's it.
But we do have a tactical advantage right now, and it's represented by a single number, 0.081%. That is our current exploit prediction scoring system, or EPSS probability score. Basically, this puts the likelihood of exploitation over the next 30 days right in the 24th percentile. So what does this actually mean for us? It tells us that while our threat intel feeds are showing absolutely no active exploits in the wild at this exact moment, the low complexity and high network accessibility make this a prime target for imminent weaponization. This right here is our critical window to act. We have the advantage of time, but trust me, that window is closing fast.
So let's define the exact exposure profile so you know for sure if you're in the crosshairs. Broadly speaking, this affects Apache Atlas versions 0.8 all the way through 2.4.0. However, if you're running a modern deployment, specifically versions 2.0.0 and higher,
your system is only vulnerable under one very specific non-default configuration. If your system has the flag atlas.dsl.executor.traversal explicitly set to false, then yes, your target is vulnerable. Luckily, default configurations actually remain shielded from this specific code execution path.
Naturally, this intelligence dictates our defense strategy. Here is your critical remediation playbook. Step 1. Administrators need to immediately audit their configuration files, looking for that exact traversal flag we just talked about. Step 2. Deploy the definitive, vendor-approved mitigation by upgrading all your instances straight to version 2.5.0. And Step 3, if you're in a spot where you just cannot patch immediately, you need to order your SOC teams to actively monitor network logs. Tell them to look for anomalous query strings, unusual character injections, or really any highly irregular access patterns hitting that DSL search endpoint.
As white hat security researchers, we operate under a pretty strict ethical code. We practice coordinated vulnerability disclosure because at the end of the day, users simply must know the threats residing in their governance platforms if they're going to protect their systems. Security through obscurity, that's a failed operational model, folks. Defenders have to have transparent, factual, and timely intelligence to actually protect the perimeter. By shedding light on the real mechanics of CVE 2026-4563, we force the vendor's hands to patch, and more importantly, we empower you to lock those doors before the adversaries even check the handle.
All right, the intelligence has been delivered. You now understand the Gremlin traversal exploit mechanics, and you have your remediation playbook ready to go. The ball is entirely in your court to push that 2.5.0 update to your Apache Atlas environments. Do not let an 8.1 severity threat just sit idle. Because think about it, if adversaries can easily bypass your core data governance platform, what else in your network is already fully exposed? Secure your perimeter, stay vigilant out there, and as always, stay secure.